In this tutorial, we're going to use Google SketchUp to show how we can present our final design as a working drawing with dimensions suitably on PowerPoint. So we're also going to use it to show how we can present our ongoing trialing and testing as we're thinking and iterating through our design project. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some simple tricks to do that. You will then, by the end, create a working drawing and an exploded view with a bill of materials. Okay, you can see already I have got a part of a box that I'm making. It has got finger joints, it's got 4 walls, and what we're going to do is to create the rest of this box first. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to create the side walls of our box. Now, to draw that out, it's actually more helpful if we change our camera view so we're looking straight down. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Camera, Standard Views, and click Top. Okay, now you can see that I'm looking straight down onto the green and red axis, so our X and our Y. It might also help if we put it into parallel projection, so we haven't got any perspective going on, so we're looking straight down on top of it. Okay, now I'm going to draw a rectangle which is 75 high by 150 wide, because that is the dimensions of our sides. Okay, so I'm just going to type 150 along, comma, space, 75, as before, press enter, and there we have our rectangle, so I can look straight down onto it. Now we're going to divide this 75 into 5 equal sections. Okay, so we're going to divide it into 15mm fingers. Now, to do that, we're going to use this tape measure tool. I'm also going to come in the same distance as the thickness of our piece of wood. Now, the thickness of our wood is going to be 12mm, so I'm going to come along here, type 12, and make a reference point here, which is 12mm in. Okay, then I'm going to draw a straight line all the way across, and I'm going to measure 12mm along this line. Sorry, not 12, 15. 15mm, because that's the width of our finger. Okay, and then from that point I'm going to do the same, and then the same again, 15. So I'm just making a number of markers, 15mm along each point. Now we want a duplicate on both sides of the finger joints. So where I have marked, the easiest thing would be to do is to draw a line all the way across to the other side, as well as to this side. Okay, so I'm drawing in where these fingers will go, and then we'll delete off the extra lines afterwards. This is just a quicker way of doing this. I also need to come in 12mm on this side and draw a straight line down from there to there. Okay, what I can do now is I want to keep the first finger and then get rid of this one. So using the rubber tool, I'm just going to click and swipe across that line, and the same on that one. Do the same on this side and on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of these middle lines. So I'm left click and drag, and you'll see they disappear. Then I want to get rid of these internal lines. Okay, you'll still see your guide points, but at this point it doesn't matter. Alright, and that gives us the profile of one of our side walls. Now if I click and hold the mouse wheel and rotate back into 3D. Now I'm going to set this back to perspective, so otherwise it looks distorted, and you can see there we have our sidewall. Now it's flat, so I need to extrude it, so I'm going to use the push-pull tool, hover over the surface, click and drag out type 12 because that's the thickness, and there we have one sidewall. Okay, now the opposite sidewall is going to be identical. So I'm going to first make this triple click, 1, 2, 3, right click on it. I can make it a component or a group. This time I'm going to make it a component because it is a component in the box, and I'm going to call it sidewall create, and there we have it. Now, if I want to modify this, then the copy I make, so I'm going to move it and I'm going to make a copy. And whatever I do to this or this, it will do the same function on all of them. So if I modify one, it modifies all of them. So that's something you have to bear in mind. But because I want them to be all the same, that's what I'm going to do. Now, if you notice, if I just move this, you'll notice that actually the guides haven't been included in the selection, which is good because we want to get rid of them. We're done with them now. Okay, so there's our two side walls. Now we're going to do the same for the end. Now between here to here, we're going to make our box. Right, as you can see at the moment, I've got these going in the wrong direction. So what I'm going to do is select both of them, and then I'm going to rotate about the red axis. I'm going to just pull them through 90 degrees so they're in the right plane. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one so that it is 100 millimeters. I need to move it from this point, and I'm going to move that. No, it's not going to work. I'm going to do this. So I need to move it 100 millimeters minus 12 millimeters because that's the thickness of one wall. So that is 88. Okay, which means that between here, should give me 100 by 75, which if you look in the dimensions panel, it does. So that is correct. Okay, so I'm just going to draw that over the ends. I've got it the right distance apart. Now I can use these to create guides, so I don't need to draw in guide points. I can actually see where things should go. So if I draw that in there, and you'll see it starts to block out certain parts. Okay, so just drawing in the fingers on the end. Okay. Okay, now we've got that drawn out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click and select one of these side walls, hold Control and select that one. So I've selected both. I'm going to drag them out of the way just for a moment, just so we can see that we've done that correctly. Now again, I'm going to take the eraser tool, and this time I'm going to erase off the ends, the middle bit. Okay, remember, just left click, hold it, drag across the line, and it will delete. So that's the shape we want to extrude. Okay, again, we're going to pull that. It's 12 millimeters thick, so I just type 12 to extrude it. Okay, triple click, right click on there, make component. So we'll call that end wall. Click create. Okay, and there we have our end wall. Now if I zoom out a bit, I'm going to reselect these two. Click once, control, select that one, and I can click on that point, move it back, and I can actually line it so it locks in. Okay, the next thing to do then is simply to select the end wall, and we're going to make a copy. So I'm going to click on this edge, press Control, and you'll see it makes a copy. Drag it to the end, lock to that point, and there we have the side walls of our box. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a base on the bottom. You need to think in terms of the materials and components that you would have available to you in a workshop when you're designing. So for the bottom, I would probably put a piece of plywood. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that covers the whole bottom surface, and then pull that down. The plywood, let's say it's 3 millimeters, so I'm going to make that 3 millimeters. Okay, group it, and then now I've already created a material which is wooden, or you can create a plywood material if you want to. Okay, and then apply that. Okay, so that's going to be our base. It's a piece of plywood that goes on the bottom. The top, we're going to make a nice curved lid so it looks a little bit like a treasure chest, and then we'll drop in a divider in the middle here. Okay, so again, you need to think about the processes, and this is how we develop products to make things go forward. When you're doing this for your NEA, you will need to take screenshots as you go, and each time you take a screenshot, get rid of the axes just so you've got the model to show your thinking and how you're changing things and adapting. See, the beauty of Google Sketchup is I could try out different types of wood just to see what it looks like, screen print it, put it onto my PowerPoint, get some feedback from a user or a client. Okay, so you can try out different things. What we want to see in your PowerPoint is your thinking. So you have to take lots of screenshots, lots of photos of what you're doing, present them on a page. Okay, so for the top, we're going to make a curved lid. So if I come to the end here and I draw in an arc, so I'm using the arc tool. Now I want it on the blue axis because we're going straight up. I'm going to hold down Shift so it locks to that axis. Okay, now I'm going to what I'm thinking of is I'm going to sand a piece of wood into an arc shape. Now the piece of wood that we have some that are 20 millimeters thick, so I'm going to make that, oops, I've changed axis here. I'm going to make that 20 millimeters thick. Just make sure you're on the right axis when you do that. So I type 20, press enter, and there I have my arc shape. Okay, then I'm going to pull that, Can't yet because it's not a closed face, so all I've done is drawn an arc. So I need to draw in a straight line to join the arc to make a closed face. Okay, now I have made a closed surface. You can see that it is dotted. I can use the push-pull tool and pull it all the way across to the other side, to that point. I'm going to make it a group. Okay, now if I wanted to hinge this as a hinged lid, there's nothing really to connect a hinge to it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to need to create some sort of framework to sit underneath here. Okay. So the easiest thing would be to draw in from that corner to this corner along the face here. Now we're going to use 12mm, same wood we're using for this, so it's 12mm thick. So we draw a 12mm by 150 up, as you can see, which I have already drawn on the bottom there. Now I'm going to put it as part. Do you know I won't? I'll put them as separate. So I'm going to make these separate components because they are effectively separate pieces of wood. Okay, so I'm going to draw one in there, pull that down. Let's go 12mm down. Okay, I'm going to do the same on this side. So draw in 150 by 12. Pull that down. Let's just group those. I'm going to make that a group. Make that a group. Then, so here's a way you can try and test your ideas. So I could draw in the end so that it's along that edge. So that's 76 long by however wide, so we said 12mm in. Okay, so that's 76 by 12. Pull that down so it matches that side. Do the same on this side. Okay, so that's 12mm there. Pull this down. Again, don't forget you want to group your components. Okay, now I want to move the whole lid, but because they're separate components, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of those components and group those together. So now I've got a complete lid. Okay, I'm going to apply a finish to it. So there's my lid. When I want to move it, I can move the whole thing. Okay, if I wanted to show how it hinged, I could actually rotate on that point because it's going to rotate about that point, so I could show the lid opening and closing. Okay, I'm just going to undo that. Now, if I were presenting this on my PowerPoint, I'd get rid of the axes as I've shown you before, so I've unticked the axes on there. Print screen it. Put it onto a new slide on my PowerPoint. Okay, double click, crop off the bits we don't want. And then again, you can, if you set transparent colour, get rid of the white on there. Okay, then I could annotate to show that this is how the lid is going to be. I could also take a picture of it with it open. Do the same thing. Remember to quickly transfer between one program and another. If you Alt-Tab, you bring up all the different programs that are open, and then you can very quickly transfer between them. Okay, do the same thing. Once you get quick at this, the thing is to practice. Once you get quick, you'll see that you can create very good slides very quickly. Okay, I can go and tidy that up later. I actually don't like the look of this end, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a mitre. So I'm going to modify this. So I'm going to just lift that up again by lock to that, just so it's off. Okay, so that's me trialing and testing. Now I'm going to try what looks like a mitre joint. So I need to double click to edit this group, and then I have to double click to edit that component, that group. And I'm just going to draw a line across, and then I'm going to push that up until it comes off, so that I have a mitre on that end. I'm going to do the same on this end. So from there to there, so from that point on the other side piece. I'm going to push that until that disappears, so now I've got a mitred section there. Now if I edit this one, I pretty much can do the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll drag this out until it matches that point. Draw a line across here. Can't really see the line because it's hidden by that component, but you'll see I can hover over that corner, drag that down, and now we've got a mitred edge to it. Okay, I'm just going to delete off that side. Do the same to this piece. Now if you're feeling lazy, I'll show you a quick way. If we're feeling lazy, we can just delete that component and that one, and we can just make a copy of the ones we've just done. Press Control. Okay, we will need to rotate them 180 degrees. Lock that one into place. Do the same for this one. Degrees, and then move it into place. Okay, now the difference is you can't see the ends because we have a mitre joint on there. Same as before, bring that down. Maybe you want to show another view of it, again with the lid open, so you can show your client what that would look like with mitre joints rather than. Let's print screen that. Let's go to our PowerPoint, paste it. Going to crop that out. Okay, to make that transparent. Now we might just want to show this corner, so if I double click that again, maybe I'll just crop that down so it's just the lid, so it takes up less space, and then you could show alternatives and annotate your drawings. Okay, so you can see very quickly and easily we can create the full model. It's really important though at this point that you're thinking through the component pieces that are going to go together, because if you can do that at this stage, it makes making it so much easier.